Hey guys, this is Locke. This is my CM coverage. I'm going to be going through my thought patterns during the matches today because I think there's a lot to say, and there's also many different types of teams that I face, so I think it's just good for me to just talk about it. By the way, my mic that I was always using kind of broke, so I'm using this mic. So I hope the audio isn't too much of an issue, but I do apologize for that. Anyway, as soon as I saw this team, I knew I was going to rush, and I wasn't too worried about rushing, to be honest, because they don't have anybody that can remove buffs. Like they don't have Nivlu or any other way of removing buffs, and they also don't have a way of removing my barrier. So I planned for King Mont to go in. So the first turn I'm buffing, and right now with King Mont I'm already using Keen Blade, and the reason I'm using that right now and not later is because I always expected him to be way ahead of the rest of my units, so he wouldn't really have a chance later to use it unless he runs back and then uses it, right? So that's why at the very beginning I used it. This lets me set up everyone else to to attack faster because I have 2 rounds of buffs for both my gunners, well, gunners rangers. So that's the reason why I used Keen Blade right at the beginning. Now, my tactic here is very simple. I am basically approaching with King Mont. They're either forced to deal with King Mont and attack him. Probably would need all three of them to focus on him, otherwise they won't be able to kill him, especially not being able to remove his missile resist buff and not being able to remove his barrier as well, because I used Marshre's TMR that Frederica had on him. So yes, I mean that's the idea. I'm approaching with them, and at the same time I am also kind of like attacking from the side, so Frederica and Corwell won't get caught in the same AoE as King Mont. As you can see, I've spaced them out really far, right? So that's the idea, and now I'm just waiting to see how he responds. Eventually, I think he realized what I was doing. Like he realized that if King Mont gets in close and he uses his AOE Berserk, then they're all dead, and I might catch all three of them as well if I use the CT upskill. I think it's called Proclamation. Is it? No, it's I don't know. I have to check when it comes. But if I use that skill and catch all of them in an AoE, he pretty much already loses. So he has to do two things. He has to try to maintain that distance between King Mont and the rest of his units, and he has to try to also make sure that they don't all get caught in the same AoE. So he is in a bit of a trouble because now he is running out of space, really, right? He's already in the corner. He can't go back anymore. And so that's the skill. I forget what it's called. I didn't see the name, but I hope you guys know. It's the defense. Oh, Kalem's Pride. That's what it's called. So it's Kalem's Pride to give himself additional CT to help him to engage faster. But I realized right now that I don't need to engage because his units are actually just in a weird spot, because I was pretty sure that I could at least hit them, hit their 9S with my Corwell and my Frederica. So I didn't have to do anything. I could just wait, and once I kill one of them, then if I kill one of the three units, then he has to engage me instead, right? So once I realized that, that's what I started doing, and then the match pretty much went in my favor. So I'm gonna stop this here and just speed up the pace of this battle even more, because I don't really have much more to say. Yeah, I'm gonna do that 1 second. And there we go with the increased speed. So yeah, this was basically my strategy for approaching. I have another fight later on where I'm approaching double gunners with the Nivlu on their team, so I had to be even more careful and even more like forceful, I guess, in approaching them, because I couldn't waste time. I needed to approach right away. But yeah, this was my way of dealing with these like corner camping gunner style compositions. Basically, if they stand still, they know they're dead, so they have to try to attack me in some way. They're running out of options, and basically caused a misplay with positioning with 9S, and that I was able to kill him very easily, like that. And then once he was down, Ketone was another thing. Now when I was doing some practices, I had done some matches with Ketone, and I know that she can self-sustain with her Drain Force. Like, look at that, that was like 1,700 health. and she does like 3.7k damage on King Mont. That's a lot of damage. So I knew that I had to kill her, you know, like within a turn. So that's why I didn't attack with King Mont, because I didn't want her to keep healing herself, and if I used that skill I knew he would get a turn before, but either way I killed her. But my plan was to not engage with him because I didn't want her to be using Drain Force and healing herself, just in case I did not manage to kill her. And then at this point, I think my opponent gave up because he didn't have anything else he could do. Now this is a different style of gameplay, because here my opponent is running 3 like melee type characters and they are trying to engage right away. Here I knew my opponent would come to me because he doesn't have any range options. He doesn't have Frederica or anybody, so I can stay back. So that's what I did, and I just used my defensive buff on King Mont instead of using Keenblade, because I'm not engaging with him right now. I'm just taking a minute, right, to just let him approach. But as soon as that first buff goes off, that first turn of his goes off, I have to make sure that I'm always using Kalim's Pride, because if I don't use Kalim's Pride, I might get surprised by my enemy's Keenblade, and suddenly they have 2 turns back to back and they're in my face. So that's why each turn you will notice that I'm using Kalim's Pride on King Mont's turn, although he's not approaching, he's just kind of standing still, standing back, right? And I can see right now, see my opponent is approaching, and they probably feel kind of confident to approach because they have all these defensive buffs. They have like, especially, I think they have shields. I don't remember the batch now, but I think they have shields. They have missile resist. They have defense. My Corval does have Dispel Spread. Maybe they didn't realize how much damage he would do because he typically has low attack, so they were still okay with that. I think, I'm not sure, but one kind of mistake, I think, in my opinion, is that since they have so many buffs, one Dispel Spread is going to get rid of all those buffs, you know? So, like, they use like maybe 3 buffs and all 3 of them are gone now with one Dispel Spread. So that kind of sucks. So here I was trying to remove Titus's shield, and if I get another Dispel Spread on both of them, then both of these guys would be dead. So that's what I was going for. Now I use Keenblade. And take a look at what my opponent does with King Mont. So I use Dispel Spread and they're both dead. Now take a look. If I hadn't used Kalim's Pride when I did, I would not be able to Keenblade, and instead my opponent is going to use Keenblade now. So this Keenblade would have happened before mine did, and they would have been in my face before I could do anything, right? So that was why it was very important for me to use Kalim's Pride when I suspect my enemy has a Keenblade user, just so that I don't get caught in surprise. And that's pretty much the match. I think this one is almost over, actually. So I mean, he really can't do anything else. Like, if you have a King Mont by himself left over, you just have to make sure that all units are more than 2 spaces apart, so that they don't all get caught in a berserk, berserk LB. And if you manage to do that, then you win, basically. And here I use Berserk and just to kill him faster, basically, because once you use Berserk, you also take 50% additional damage, I think, or 100% additional damage, something like that, some ridiculous modifier. So here is the match that I was talking about, where I am fighting Niblu, Frederica, and Mont, like original Mont. So this is like a range heavy team. I looked at the vision cards of my opponents. They weren't actually that good, so they probably do less damage than the typical like triple gunner comp that I would fight against. But because they have a Niblu on their team, and the Niblu has Kiza's TMR, she's going to be throwing out all kinds of stuff. Like, she's going to be throwing out Dispel Spread and Barrier Breaks and maybe even her LB. So she was my first priority. Shelter doesn't have Reflex, so it's easier to kill her than Frederica. So she was my first priority to take out, and right away with King Mont, I am moving in. Now, why didn't I use Keenblade this time? In my last match, I used Keenblade to start, and I realized that King Mont was kind of running out of TP. So I decided, let me try this match without Keenblade at the start, and maybe it would help him. Like, what if he has to recast his missile resist buff, or he has to recast, I don't know, something, right? And I was almost like done my CT at the end of the match last time, so just in case I need something else, I decided to not use Keenblade just to see how it goes this time. So here I am basically just trying to get closer so I can, attack Nivlu. Once if I kill Nivlu, I think the match is pretty much in my favor, because King Mont, Nivlu just used her barrier break so far. So if I'm able to kill her, he doesn't have any other way of breaking, getting rid of my missile resist buff. So that plays heavily into my favor. If I can get rid of that Nivlu, then the match, in my opinion, was pretty much already won. Unfortunately, she has a little bit more defense than I would like, so I can't one-shot her with the King Mont. So instead, I used Berserk, so that she doesn't use Dispel Spread now. She just uses what does she use? She just uses like a normal attack. There we go. So this way, I only wasted Berserk on an almost dead Nivlu, but Nivlu was the biggest threat. So if I was able to remove her, there isn't really anything else for me to worry about, and the rest of the match is pretty much a breeze. And just take a look at the element composition of my team. This will play in later on as well when I'm fighting an all ice team, but I have one fire unit, one lightning unit, and one wind unit. So the wind's weakness is ice, but I have a fire unit to cover the wind's weakness, and then fire's weakness is water, but I have a lightning unit to cover that fire weakness, and lightning's weakness is earth, but I have a wind unit to cover that unit's weakness. So I have every element that covers each other's weaknesses. So I have a Mont. Now that Mont might do a lot of damage to Frederica, so I have to use Corval to, kill off the Mont easily. That's the idea here. And then again, like here, this match is pretty much done. He got a lucky counter proc there. It would have been nice if he attacked. Ooh, 7.2 on Mont. That's nice. It would have been nice if he shot Mont in the back. That would have been fun. So here is the all ice comp, and right away my very first thought was I need to kill Agrius, because of the 3 units that he has, Agrius is the biggest threat to me, simply because she could confuse my King Mont, and I'm not able to pull off his LB. Her confuse has a range of 5, while his LB only has a range of 2, so she has a definite advantage, and she's obviously naturally bulky, naturally tanky. She has like Saintly Wall and all the other defensive skills. So killing her was the top priority. I didn't even mind sacrificing one of my gunners to kill her, if I was able to kill her before she got a chance to use her LB. So that was my thought process going into this match, and as I expected, she would be in the front line. Like, I don't think anybody brings Agrius and keeps her in the back line. You want to approach with Agrius, so I expected her to come, at the front. And then I focused everything on killing her. Now, my Corval is the main damage dealer of my team. However, obviously he has a weakness to ice. So the way to kill ice opponents here is to use chains. So, with Keenblade and using like naturally high agility units, I'm hoping to take multiple turns. And then I got lucky with the new interaction that I kind of found. I didn't know it worked this way, but I was glad it did. So when we get to that, I will talk about it. But here my opponent is just trying to figure out his good placement, and for me, I am again using Kaelin's Pride because I don't want to get surprised. That's what I always use, and I need to, there's no point in him taking a turn before Frederica, so I decided to just move so that he'll be able to take a turn after. And I tried to position my units so that they're in a good position to attack next turn, without moving, but I kind of misplaced my units, especially, I should have moved them closer so that King Mont didn't have to move to use his Keenblade, but I couldn't find a good position for that. So here, I didn't have any other good skills to use, because she was going to do little damage until the shield is broken, and she couldn't break her shield properly, so I started using the Supercharge, and then I thought, okay, I messed up because she gets to turn before Supercharge. But this is the interaction I found out, that if a skill is charging, and then you use Supercharge, that Supercharge goes right away. So now she got to use Supercharge and then use Sharpshoot back to back, which created a 4 chain and basically helped me kill her. I didn't know that, and I'll hopefully make another video soon talking about that in depth. And I found the same interaction with some other units as well, like Yuna and like Yuna's bursting light skill that also has this, like it casts right away. Anyway, I'll talk about that more later on. So here now I thought I pretty much won the match because if these two approach my King Mont, he will just berserk them, and I knew they can't kill him because they're ice and he's fire, so it'll take a while to kill him. I don't expect them to suddenly burst him down. So with that, I assumed this match was pretty much won. I just had to figure out how to kill that Igrius, and I was able to do it by creating a four times missile chain. Yeah, and I think as soon as my Berserk lands on these guys, he just gives up the match because there isn't really anything else he can do here. So this was match number 4, I believe, right? Yeah, I think this is match number 4. So there's one more match, and the last match is actually pretty quick. You'll see here he's Berserk, and he pretty much just gives up because, I mean, there isn't really anything you can do. So this last match is pretty quick, and basically I was able to take advantage of using Keen Blade and basically dominate the match before it really ever started, I guess, right? I don't know. I wouldn't suggest people play a team like this. I mean, like maybe you know you're able to play this kind of team better than I am, but I don't really like these cast speed type skills because they take really long to cast, and it adds to their slowness and their casters, so they're not very what is it called? Like they're not very durable, so they die fast. So here, I was expecting Yuna to use what was she using? Like re-raise. So I tried to kill Black Rose Helena before she got it off, and I was able to do that very easily. And once I did that, I mean, the game is pretty much won. There isn't really anything else you can do. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hearing my thoughts and like my thinking processes going into these matches. And this is the first time I did it so detailed, where I'm talking about every single match. Usually I'm kind of just like musing about class match in general. So I don't know, let me know what you think. Let me know if you found this useful, and if you would like more of this like in-depth kind of analysis of what my thought process is going into it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope to see you on the next video. Take care, guys.